Hi, my name is Maya, and the cases I chose to research are the West Memphis 3 and Sam Sheppard trials. The West Memphis 3 case took place in West Memphis, Arkansas in May of 1993. Three 8-year-old boys, Chris Byers, Michael Moore, and Stevie Branch, went to ride their bikes one evening but never came home. The next day, their bruised, mutilated, and tied-up bodies were found in a stream. About a month later, three teenage boys were convicted and became known as the West Memphis 3. Investigation began when Chris, one of the three young boys, was reported missing after he didn't come home for dinner that evening, followed by two more missing child reports of the other two boys. The search began in Robin Hood Hills, where the boys liked to play. A police officer saw a shoe floating down the stream, and eventually the three bodies were removed from the stream. Rumors started that devil worshippers may have done it. The boys they suspected who committed the crime was 18-year-old Damian Eccles, 17-year-old Jesse Miskelly, and 16-year-old Jason Baldwin. These boys were involved in satanic practices, and 2 out of 3 of them were previously arrested for shoplifting and vandalism. Eccles was mentally ill and claimed he got superpowers when he drank human blood. Police officers thought this crime had cult overtones, and because of the boys' backgrounds and their suspicious knowledge of the crime scene evidence, the boys appeared even more suspicious. Eccles was interviewed and took a polygraph test that indicated he was lying about his involvement. Miss Kelly was also interrogated for 12 hours by police, and this information was leaked to the press and appeared on the front page of the newspaper before their trials even began. Miss Kelly had his own trial, and his various confessions were not consistent with each other. He actually claimed that he had watched Eccles rape one of the boys. However, there's no forensic evidence that said any of the boys had been raped. On February 5, 1944, Miss Kelly was convicted by a jury on 1 count of first-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to life plus 40 years in prison. Baldwin and Eccles went on trial 2 weeks later, and the prosecution accused the 3 young men of committing a satanic murder. The 2 boys were found guilty on 3 accounts of murder, and Eccles' knowledge of the murder was just too close to the facts, but he argued that he got all his knowledge from the news. Eccles was sentenced to death and Baldwin life in prison. There's criticism of how the police handled the crime scene, and many protesters followed the trial. There was also 3 HBO documentaries made from this case: Paradise Lost, The Child Murders at Robin Hood Hills, Paradise Lost 2, Revelations, and Paradise Lost 3, Purgatory. Filmmakers were actually following the case right as it was happening. The other trials I researched were the Sam Sheppard trials. On July 4, 1954, Marilyn Sheppard, the wife of 30-year-old Dr. Sam Sheppard, was brutally murdered in the bedroom of their home in Bay Village, Ohio. Sam Sheppard denied any involvement. This murder mystery endured for over half a century. Sam faced 2 different juries and was found guilty by one and not guilty by the next. In 2001, there was a book written about the Sheppard case that concluded that Sam was clearly innocent, and another written saying he was guilty as charged. Sam said he was sleeping downstairs when he heard his wife's cry for help. He ran up the stairs and saw a figure standing next to her bed. He grappled with the figure but was hit on the back of the neck and lost consciousness. When he woke up, he determined his wife had been killed, and he saw the figure running out the back door. He chased him down, battled with him again, and then lost consciousness again. After police investigated the home, there was evidence of a robbery or a staged robbery. An investigator did not even make much of an effort to look for fingerprints or blood evidence, as he believed this was a domestic homicide. The same investigator interviewed Sheppard at the hospital and determined that he had done it. Still, Sheppard would not confess. The morning after Marilyn Sheppard's death, there was a large picture of her in the newspaper under the headline, "Doctor's Wife Murdered in Bay Village." It also included a photo of Sam in his hospital bed, and the accompanying story was sympathetic to Sam and suggested drug thieves had committed this crime. However, the press would eventually turn increasingly hostile towards Sam. Newspapers with headlines like these came out, pleading authorities to arrest Sheppard, along with many other press attacks towards him. The paper even accused the Sheppard family of trying to thwart the investigation. His trial opened on October 18, 1954, and many celebrity journalists had attended the trial. Sheppard was found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. His second trial began in October of 1966, and Sheppard did not testify at this one. His defense attorney brought up new points and a plausible alternative killer. The jury's vote was 8-4 for acquittal. Sheppard was a free man. This case inspired the TV show The Fugitive in the 1960s and later the movie, as well as many other articles and stories. Thank you for listening.